I'm Sonia B, and welcome back to another episode of Intimate Conversations. I have a very special guest here, Forrest. And I'm well. You want to introduce? Thank you. I'm so glad you came. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
You are very welcome. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and in your coaching? And
Sure. Forrest Laurent is my name. I am a motivational speaker. I consider myself an effective communicator because I don't really enjoy titles too much. But if someone were to ask me, I would say motivational speaker. And I just create content that is aimed at evoking thought. It's okay to question your experiences. It's okay to feel your humanity is okay. Things like that. So.
Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into the topic of the luxury of being single.
Okay. Good topic. Good topic. Let's do it.
So people always tend to think that being single is a horrible thing, a bad thing. Nobody wants you, but that's clearly not the case. And in your seasons of being single, what did being single teach you?
Well, the seasons before this season of singleness didn't teach me anything because I didn't treat them with respect. I didn't treat them how I should have. So those seasons taught me that if I didn't control my urges, control my mindset, control my actions, how I spent my time, it taught me that you can pick up really negative habits, some really bad habits, and those habits don't go anywhere. They follow you. And people think they can just be single and do what they want in their single stage and then turn it off when they get with someone. And that's where people get in trouble. So in this season of singleness, it's taught me dedication. It's taught me self-control, things like that. And those lessons I've learned have pretty much helped me in my focus as far as like what I'm doing now. So yeah, I think it's about learning yourself as you're single, learning your flaws, learning what you're good at, what you're not good at, addressing those things so that when you get back into a relationship, you're not carrying a whole bunch of things that you shouldn't be carrying with you.
I like that.
That was my thing.
I like that. All right, so let me ask you this. Do you believe the people we attract are reflections of us? And if so, what are some of the negative traits you found out about yourself through other people?
So to answer your question, I believe it's yes and no.
Okay.
It's yes because when you think about reflection of yourself, a lot of people think me personally, like I'm dating this person because of who I am. And what it really means, in my opinion, is that a reflection of yourself is not only you as a person, but it's also your world. Mm-hmm. So if you grew up, let's say a very common example, unfortunately, is lack of a father in the home. If you grew up with that lack of a father in the home, then you don't really have the love that you should have received from that father figure. And as you get older, that doesn't go anywhere. It just transforms from you feeling that you need it as you get older to you going out and chasing it in different ways. So that's a reflection of who you are in your whole being. And that in and of itself means you're going out and you're attracting what and I also say no because there are times when we're just living life and people see our value or they see something in us that they want and they chase us based off of what they want, and it's like, so you can't really control that.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about, because people always say you attract what you are, and I'm like,
it's not that simple.
Yeah,
it's not that simple.
Yeah,
it's a very blanket statement, and you can apply that to different things. But I think when you unpack that and reverse engineer that, it gets a little bit deeper.
Okay. So let me ask you, how do you define love?
In my opinion, my humble opinion, I believe that love is not a euphoric feeling. It's not something that's like in the movies or in music. Right. I think love is a choice. You have to wake up every day and make a conscious decision to love them when you don't feel like it, when terms aren't good, when you're mad at them, when you're pissed off at them. You still have that responsibility that you said you wanted with them, to love them. And I think because love nowadays is more so feelings-based and emotions-based, our love, quote unquote, switches with the wind, like our emotions do.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's important because if you never really learn what your emotions truly are, they're just moments in a much larger story. Mm-hmm. If you never really understand that and learn that, then your love, quote unquote love, will change day by day. And I think you see that a lot of days in the relationships that you see around you.
Yeah. So what about the lack Do you believe there's a lack of self-love within
course.
individuals? I'm sure I know you promote individual growth,
I do.
self-love, and that's just the lack thereof self-love. It's showing up in relationships.
It's showing up everywhere.
It's showing up everywhere. The lack of self-love, the lack of boundaries, it's definitely showing up everywhere. Do you get clients, and do people ever say, I know that I struggle with this area?
Yeah, I do. And I think the clients that I get, they go into the conversation and they may have something they want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I've learned is that they want to talk about the situations, which is not a bad thing. But I want to talk about what mindset, what heart condition led you to that situation. If we can address that, then we're making progress, because I can tell you a million different ways and different times what the situation was and how it transpired, but you're not learning anything about how you got there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, and a lot of it is lack of self-love or lack of self-identity, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely a thing.
And then when you have your clients and you coach them about, do you coach them on boundaries?
Definitely.
Yeah. What's a healthy way to start setting up boundaries? Because we talk about setting boundaries, but we don't really discuss a lot about standing 10 toes down on those boundaries.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's just how can we start to implement standing on our boundaries? We hear so much, set boundaries, and then, somebody comes along that just does it for you, and then all the boundaries went out the window.
So I'm going to get a little bit deep with this answer.
Okay.
Hope you're okay with it. Okay.
I'm cool.
I'm a Christian,
mm-hmm.
and I stand 10 toes down on that. I don't hide it. I'm sure you've heard me say that many times.
Yes.
And when it came to answer your question, straight up answer, everyone's boundaries are different, and how everyone is going to set those boundaries will be different. So there's no common denominator or one size fits all for telling someone how to set their boundaries. What I do believe is, since I am a Christian, something that I pay close attention to is the enemy. And I don't believe enough Christians study the devil like that. And I studied him, like literally sat and watched how he moved. And I say that because when I did that, it gave me insight into how the enemy moves, how the enemy thinks, what he really wants, how he deceives us and withdraws us from what our own boundaries are. And it's a slow, sometimes it's an immediate impact, and sometimes it's a slow, digression of your own morality, your own standards. And so when you really learn and sit and think about all the situations in your life, the ones that hurt the most mm-hmm. are usually the ones that you had the most kind of zeal about, the most kind of conviction within yourself, like, I'll never let this happen. And it took that slow, breakdown of your principles or your morals or whatever the case was. So I think it's just recognizing the signs of recognizing that, you're never too good to be fooled. You're never too good to, I can do that. I won't fall down. No, don't think like that.
Yeah.
Never too good. And that's how I treat my life.
Makes sense. I love it. So let me ask you this.
Sorry.
That you hear people all the time saying, dating people's potential. Mm-hmm. Is potential good enough reason to date someone?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I'd have to.
No, not at all. Not at all.
How many people live their whole life and don't even reach a fourth of their potential? But
It's
a
true.
lot of people say, but that person has potential.
Right.
What do you say to that? Like, it's just turn the other way. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's never wise. And the thing is, it's not bad to see someone's potential, but to base your life's decisions, because people have to understand, like, we're making long-term decisions off of who we talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we don't have the intention of talking to them for long, we even are so foolish sometimes that we trick ourselves into thinking I can control my emotions. So it's like we go into it like, and I won't get that deep. It's just I'm talking to him. It's just you don't understand how fast you can fall for someone off of one experience, off of the sex, off of how they do something, off of the treatment, off of the money, off of the status. It's so fragile. So it's like any type of potential you have for someone is not bad, but it needs to be a healthy balance of understanding their potential and realizing who they truly are in the moment that you meet them. And
meeting them right then and there in that capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you have to have that. And not many people do.
Let me ask you, You can identify that they are on the path to that potential.
You can. But let me ask you, how do you identify that?
Whew. It's not as easy. It's not that simple. Let's say I see the person, time is the greatest teacher.
Right.
I see the person doing the things daily. They're putting in the work, whether that's inner work, whether, let's say, because let's just be honest, someone could say, that person has potential to be great in their career. They might make this amount of money right now, but they're going to be doing better in life. So are they going to school? Are they furthering their education? Is that person going in earlier at work and staying later, putting in those hours, whatever the case may be for the potential?
Right.
Are they putting in the steps daily? Can you actively see them on that path working on it? Okay.
Great answer.
Okay.
Great answer. I think something similar. I believe, like you said, time is the answer to the question. And for men, it's especially difficult because we have to almost put our feelings and how we see you and how beautiful we think you are on the back burner. And a lot of men don't know how to do that. And the ones that do know how to do that, it's still always a struggle of, man, I really want this woman to be something special in my life, but how do I approach this slow enough so that I can really see who I'm getting to know? And so, like you said, it takes time. I'm a firm believer in being friends first. Because as you're a friend, you can pull different lessons from things they do. And you're not putting on for them. They're not putting on for you half the time. And, I think that's a good place to start is friendship.
Okay. I like that. Absolutely. Is there a such thing as a love with no pain?
No. I don't think there's a such thing as any connection with no pain, whether it's mother, father, daughter, son, cousin, sister, brother, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. There will never be any relationship, connection, companionship that does not have its share of pain. And I found that to be true when I looked at God and Jesus. There was even pain there.
That makes sense.
So, Jesus was perfect by my faith. And even he had moments of disobedience, of seclusion, of anger towards God. There's no type of reasoning that will let me understand that on the earth it won't be the same.
Gotcha. So you mentioned this in a video. I just wanted to dive deeper into that. You mentioned about disarming someone prior to bringing an issue to them, or if there's something bother you. What are some communication tactics you can use to disarm rage?
Rage? I think to disarm rage, that is more of a time. Some things can be disarmed in a moment and other things takes time because you don't know whatever vice we're talking about. Could be rage, it could be sadness, whatever. You don't know how long that energy has sat with that person. It could have been for a month based off of when you started doing whatever's making them upset. It could have been 10 years based off of what their father did or their mother did. So whatever you're addressing, you have to understand the root of it. And that's what you have to address when you disarm them. And it might take 10 years of disarming. It might take 10 minutes. It might take 10 months. But that's the patience of it. Everyone's different. So that's why a lot of what I talk about, there's no one size fits all. There really isn't. But just having the awareness that this is what it will require, whether it takes 10 days, 10 minutes, to 10 years, you have to understand that going into this relationship, you'll have to put that effort in. If you're not even, most people aren't willing to do it. That's the problem. They think it should be a happy relationship, hunky-dory from day one all the way to day 9,000. It's not realistic. So I come in and I'm like, listen, bro, if you want to be with that woman, she is a cute face, she is a fine body, but she's also a trail of broken men and a dysfunctional relationship with her mother and distrustful friends. So you have to understand that. And if you don't want to deal with all that, let her know up front, all I want is a smash.
Yeah, can we just get back to being honest?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just be honest.
Let's be honest.
Let's just be honest. It'll save us so much time and trouble. Let's just be honest. Say what you want up front, and then let's just move on from there.
That's what I'm saying.
And so
I agree.
When you spoke about disarming someone, sometimes in communication, you could be the best, most effective communicator there is, but you bring something to someone and they always feel like it's an attack.
Yeah.
No matter how great you put it, the
Right.
tone in your voice, the body language, the eye contact, it's an attack.
Right.
What do you say to that? And what are some ways to disarm that? Like, because
To be truthful with you, if you're making concerted attempts to disarm somebody and they make a decision to not want to hear you and to not want to be disarmed, and they're more committed to their anger or how they feel than the solution, then I think you have to be honest with yourself and say, listen, they don't want to resolve this. They don't want to. So at this point, I have a decision to make. Either I'm going to deal with this and put up with it or leave.
Yeah.
But that's my choice. And I tell people, before you go into any relationship, any companionship, any connection, you have to know what your threshold is. And if you don't, what you'll end up doing is you'll legitimately end up taking things and settling and doing this, that, and the third, not understanding that you should have left months ago.
Right.
But now you're sacrificing your mind, you're sacrificing your mental health, all that. So
staying way longer than you should have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think if they don't want to be disarmed, I think that's a clear indication that they're more committed to whatever their vice is, their resolutions. And that's a deep thing. It's not just a surface thing.
Gotcha. How can we extend grace to one another? How can men extend grace to women, women extend grace to men? I just feel like we need to extend grace to one another. We're better together.
We are.
And we're so divided right now. Like, how can we just, because you date long enough, you get your heart broke. We all get our feelings hurt.
Right.
And we're just, a lot of us are just taking that pain and that hurt from relationship to relationship. Right. How can we just start extending some grace to one another and getting back to being unified and close this gap between man and woman?
So, interesting question. I think the best answer for that is awareness. And I don't mean awareness from the two individuals. I mean, we have to begin opening our mouths and we have to begin using our platforms to bring awareness to something like that, because grace is not something that we inherently want to give. It's not something that we wake up every day thinking about. That's something that you have to intentionally work on day in and day out. And the crazy thing about grace is it's similar to anger. You can't work on it until the situation's in front of you. So it's like, because people don't talk about it, we don't think about it, we don't emphasize that on these podcasts and these platforms, people don't really, it's not an innate thought they have. So the first thing someone does when something happens to them is they get mad, then they want answers. If they don't get the answers they want, it turns from wanting answers to resentment, from resentment to, so it's like, where's grace in there? There were 4 different chances.
They want to get their lick back.
Exactly. They don't want it. And it's not because they're bad people, it's because they don't think about it.
Yeah.
So I think the more we talk about things like grace, empathy, compassion, the more of a thought it will be. And but to answer your question, once you even know about grace, the best way to extend it is to understand that you're not perfect, and one day you'll need grace yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I needed it. When I was out there dating, I needed a lot of grace. I was not always Forrest Laurent. I have a past, and I had my own whole phase.
Everybody has one. So you don't have to ask for the ladies, because the ladies want to know. I'm not going to leave them hanging. Are you single?
I am single.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Big single. And I'm like really single.
Did you say big single?
I'm not going to get a text afterwards like, why you say you were single? It's not. I'm
single.
Yeah.
It can air on the podcast and anyway. There won't be any problems in you. Okay. You heard it, ladies. He big single.
I don't think women are looking at that though. Not for me. I don't think so.
Okay, sir.
You really think that? Really?
Do I think the women are checking for you?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Your DMs cannot be dry.
They're not dry, but that's more coaching and more like, hey, I love what you do. Keep it up. I don't get much thirst. It's not like, is it disguises?
I am not buying what you are selling.
I just don't. But the thing is this, Sonia, like growing up, I was bullied.
Okay.
Growing up, I didn't really have, and then I used to talk real low like this. I used to stutter. So the man I am now and who I was growing up are two very different men.
Okay.
So it's like, I've always been oblivious to attention from women. So even today, that never changed. It's just, I don't pay attention to it.
You're not picking up on the cues?
I'm not. Like there were times when I was in a relationship for a while and I became single, and the lady friends I had came out the woodwork like, hey, I liked you, and I never said anything. I'm like, I never knew this stuff. Like, I don't think about it. I don't think people just women just check for me. I don't think like that.
They were probably dropping subtle hints, and it was going over your head.
I was oblivious, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So they need to be more aggressive in your DMs. Take notes, lady. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Like, Sonya B put us on like, oh, shoot our shot.
Nah, listen.
Oh, that is so funny. So how do you transmute your pain to love?
Good question. So I had to realize that everything that I went through was to make me better. And the thing about that is this, people say that a lot, but I don't know how many people actually live that. Because when the first thing that I hear when someone experiences pain is either, why me? What did I do wrong? This isn't fair. Or they're mad at God.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that is directed or aimed at, how can I use this? How is this for my good? What can I learn? Like it's and that was me for a long time. I went through a lot of stuff. And sadly, a lot of it was self-inflicted because I didn't make wise choices. But either way, I didn't like the fact that God let these things happen to me if I'm supposed to be his child.
Right.
You know? And I think I had to realize that God is God and God can do exceedingly and abundantly. All that's true. But we're still human.
Yes.
So like every decision we make, we have consequences for. Every single one. Good or bad.
That's true.
So when I realized that God can't make decisions for me, nor can he take the responsibility for the outcomes of those decisions, it kind of opened the door for me to understand, like, listen, I have to make smart decisions, whether I believe in God or whatever religion I believe in. Like, I have to make smart decisions, because if I don't, I'll be subject to a lot of pain and stupidity in dumb situations.
Yes.
So how that transitioned into love was that when I let that hurt go as woe is me, and it was more so how can I learn, the momentum that came from me learning consistently transitioned into, man, like I was doing a lot and causing a lot of harm and hurt out here. And now I'm meeting people that said the same things that I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a natural thing where it was like, man, I feel for them, and it birthed the empathy in me. And the empathy after time went from like, man, I feel for them and I don't want this to happen to anybody else. Let me start speaking on this stuff. And it naturally became love over time. I think it was always love. It was just disguised as pain.
I love it. Recycling your pain.
Yeah.
You got to recycle your pain.
Gotcha.
I absolutely love that. So it is intimate conversation. I have a question.
Talk to me. What's up?
In our dating, in our talking phases and courting phases,
right? Do
you feel like we're having sex too soon? Is it putting a damper on things?
So there's two different answers here. Mm-hmm. There's the Christian answer, then there's there's like the Forrest answer. The Christian answer is sex brings a lot of confusion, and I believe this to be true. It brings a lot of confusion because when you start to mix sexual activity, you mix emotions, you mix the passion involved in it, then you'll begin to see someone solely and purely off of what they offer you in the bed or what they offer your body. And although people might say, I'm not like that, you are like that.
Then it's lust-based.
Yeah, and it's like, you can't really tell me that that's not a factor in how you see this person, because if it wasn't a factor, you wouldn't have slept with them to begin with. You know, so I understand we all have needs. I understand we all, have sexual frustrations. I get that. When it comes to me, I'm very careful to not go there because of what's happened in my past.
Okay.
We can get into that if you want to, but it's kind of deep. But because
I'm here for it, honey.
Are we doing it too soon? I'm going to say no. And I say no because at the end of the day, Sonia, we're all grown.
Of course.
And we all know what we're doing.
Right.
We show up to a date, to a function 9.5 times out of 10 knowing we'll sleep with this person or we won't.
Absolutely.
We know that before.
And I am not saying waiting till marriage, because I'm not promoting that at all.
Right. Me.
Say I do and then wait until, I'm not promoting that. Just for the people that are more serious, looking for the more serious commitment, the long-term commitment. I always say, let's just wait a little bit. Let's just really see. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And because for speaking to women about that lets them see that he's not here just for sex. And if he is for sex, he'll fall back.
He will fall off on his own. Yes, I always say that. Somebody, when you are trying to determine who's here for a good time versus who's here for a long time, hold off on it. They'll eliminate themselves real
Half
quick.
the men that come up to you, you can tell from jump what they want.
Mhm.
But the ones that do know how to hide it well, just wait, just hold out a little.
Time is the greatest teacher.
Greatest teacher.
It is the absolute greatest teacher.
But I say it's not too soon or not too long because, like I said, we're grown. And in my opinion, if you're grown and you want to do something, I mean, you're grown. You know, go ahead and do what you want to do. But there's consequences. Like I said, there's consequences. There's emotional consequences. There's spiritual consequences for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not thinking about that, then that's your bad. That's on you.
Yep.
So I'm very big on ownership, own what you do. Don't make excuses. Don't own what you do, bro. If you want to sleep with her, then go ahead and do it. But understand that comes with consequences. Don't cry about them. Same thing to you, queen. Don't cry about it. Don't say he took something from me. No, you made the choice to lay down with him.
Yeah.
And so there's no such thing, in my opinion, as too soon to this. There's healthy and unhealthy, in my opinion. Doing it very soon, 9 times out of 10 will bring unhealthy results and unhealthy spirits, unhealthy energy, unhealthy outcomes. That's what I believe.
I absolutely agree with that. So and even so, not doing it, because people will say, well, what are you saying? Like, we got to wait 90 days. We got to wait.
Yeah,
like, there's no time. I'm not saying follow the 90-day rule. I'm not saying that. I wholeheartedly believe that someone could have had pure intentions for you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with men, there's a little, whatever that sparkle was, that curiosity, engaging too soon kills all that. It's over with. The fire's dead.
Because the thrill of the kill is over.
Yeah.
It's done. He got,
It's done. It's over with. The chase is over with. Absolutely. The chase is completely done.
That's fact.
So there's this topic. You hear about it all the time, I'm sure.
that?
And you think there's a lack of femininity in the women? Just for men, I asked this question. I asked this question from all the men I interview on the podcast, off the podcast. And one of their number one things, and they said, was the lack of femininity that they are seeing or experiencing right now. It's just, they don't even want to approach women.
This is dangerous. Okay, here's what I'll say to that. When it comes to the lack of femininity, I can understand why men say it, but I don't think it's 100% true.
Okay.
I believe that women today, let me be honest, are we talking about Black women?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I'll be honest. When you talk about Black women of today's society, of today's culture and generation, they're twice as driven, twice as focused, twice as emotionally stable, emotionally intelligent. They're twice as determined because Black women feel they have something to prove. There's a constant chip on their shoulder because Black women really do feel like they're the most disrespected group of people on the planet. So there's all that goes into it. Whereas men, we feel more entitled. We feel more like this is how it should be.
Okay.
We feel more, it's more propaganda when it comes with us. And so when you think of that imbalance of effort, a lot of women are doing better financially in life. They're smarter, they're wiser, they have more street smarts, more business smarts, more like all of that. And men have not gotten to a place where we can accept that without downplaying it, without disrespecting it. So it comes out, women are not as feminine. What you're really saying is women are doing better than men. Woo. And that's really what it is.
Okay.
Because whenever the old paradigm it was men are the breadwinners.
Mm-hmm.
You want to say
something? No. Mm-mm.
Men are breadwinners. We take care of the household. We're the ones that take charge.
Right.
Well, now because of the imbalance in the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, the finances, the determination, the drive, women are naturally showing up in positions that are higher than men, and men can't handle that.
Okay.
So it's not that women are losing femininity, women are just doing better, and we can't handle it. So I understand why they say it, but it's not true.
So let me ask you this. How can we, as Black women, support and provide a space for the masculine to be vulnerable? How can we help you guys? Like, how can we do that?
You can acknowledge the things that you don't want to acknowledge. And let me give you an example. I was on live last week.
Okay.
And the example I use was the one example that I feel like both black men and black women just cannot seem to have a logical, reasonable conversation about cheating. That's the reaction. That's the reaction I get. Let's talk about just the differences between black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, Latino. I think, and it's not. I don't think. I believe, because there's studies that show this. When it comes to divorce, when it comes to all these things, cheating is the number one reason among black marriages. I know men right now who are terrible husbands, terrible boyfriends, and they never cheat. Cheating is not the worst transgression a man can enact on a woman.
It hurts the most. Well, I'm not going to even say that.
Cheating doesn't, here's the thing, the cheating doesn't hurt the most. What hurts the most is the betrayal of you thinking the man wants someone else more than you in any way. So it's not cheating in the sense of him sleeping with another woman. It's disloyalty. It's the lies. It's stuff like that. Those are the real transgressions. And the thing is, to be honest, I might lose my, might be breaking bro code. Sorry, my guy, I gotta say it. I would say if you line 10 men up right now and ask how many of them cheat, they're gonna say, nah. They'll all say no. All 10 of them cheat in their mind.
What do you mean in their mind? I'm
gonna say it.
What do you mean? I'm like in their mind.
I just walked through 2 different airports.
Okay.
Thousands of people in each of them. I would say about 100 women had leggings on with no drawers. Can I say that?
You can say anything on here.
Men know how to peep that out because we are so skilled at looking at bodies. We know what we're looking at. So I just cheated with my mind because I know what you look like without them drawers on, because I know I watch enough porn to understand the skin tone and body type. Am I lying, bro? I know that. I'm sorry, but we talking. My guys might be mad at me, but men cheat in our minds every day. When we scroll on Instagram, I could pull out my phone right now and I'll just see a booty somewhere on my feed, not because I want to see it.
Right, just because it's there.
Women post this stuff and it's in the algorithm. We see it.
Right.
I can have sex with her 10 times in my mind and no one will ever know. That happens. Our server can walk up to the table and I could be that 6-foot man you say you want, that's respectful, that knows how to court a woman. She sees that just like you see it. And she's batting her eyes and showing me a little attention. Her voice is a little softer when she talks to me. It's softer. She's, in my mind, I'm like, she want the dick.
She's smitten on him. She want it.
What would happen if I'm going to the bathroom, my man's calling me, hey, how's it going, bro? What you doing? And I'm on a date with my lady, but man, that server, she bad. Like, does this happen? We cheat a lot, even though it's not with our bodies. So understand, when we cheat with our bodies, it's because we've cheated in our minds enough. And we don't have enough discipline to stop it anymore. Just our body follows our mind.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like this subject is so delicate for women because it's like some women just can't stomach, if he cheats, I'm gone. If he cheats, I'm gone. And it's like, listen, you don't understand. That's the least of your worries. That's the least of it. When it comes to men and cheating.
Well, the way you just broke it down, I want him outside with blindfolders on. Don't look at nothing, sir. Face down.
But here's the thing. It's not because men are so ain't poop or trash. It's just that I don't think women truly understand the level of temptation we face. And I'm going to get real with you. And it's not pretty. I live in Houston.
Okay.
A lot of women in Houston. I'll drive down the street to Dallas Store, to McDonald's. I love Burger King. I love chicken. So I'll go to these chicken spots. I'll go to, 0 Degrees, wherever I'm at. And I'll pass about 9 women on the street. All booty all out. So I'm looking at booty on the street. I get to the restaurant. It's girls in the restaurant. They're not ugly. They're cute.
Right.
Some of them might say something slick to me. Some of them might, so we face the temptation of, should I bite that apple? Should I take that apple all day long? We get on social media and then we see it there too. In our DMs, in our mentions, and notifications. So we're presented with the opportunity to cheat every single day.
Wow.
20, 30, not because we want it. It just naturally.
It's there.
And so if you ask me how to create a safe space, say this. I'll walk up to you during a random day and I say, you know what, babe? Today was a rough day. Like, I saw a lot on social media. I saw a lot at my workplace, excuse me. and I saw a lot at my job. I saw a lot at the store. It's just a rough day for me. I don't need you to question, well, what did you think when you saw him? It's not what I need. I can't be this hard, emotionless, not able to be penetrated, not able to be tempted man 8 hours out of the day and then come home and hear it from you. You're supposed to be my safe space. And if you say you want to be my safe space and you say I should be able to tell you anything, don't say that if you can't handle it. A lot of women say that, and then the minute he even mentions anything about another woman, it's wraps. She can't take it. And one of the things that women say is, if you cheat, I'm gone. And I tell women, you can't say it like that. You can't. Even if you feel that way, if you say that, what you're actually saying to him is, you have to deny your humanity as a man, your entire essence as a man. I know women are out there, but don't look at them. Don't cheat on me. Don't do any of that, because if you do, I'm leaving. And that's why a lot of men will say, she wants me to be perfect, even though you never said that.
Right.
But that's what we hear, because all we hear is, bro, I can't even have struggles around you, because if I have any struggles, it's wraps. Now, men, on the other hand, we're expected to receive and accept all parts of you, regardless of what it is, because we have to bend over backwards to make sure you feel secure and feel safe and feel. We don't get that. We have to put on the front that we're perfect. And the one thing that men struggle with the most is temptation. And that's the one thing there's no room for with Black women. So if y'all really want to provide a safe space, and here's the thing, and I know I'm talking kind of long. You said, how do you create a safe space? Understand, to create a safe space, you have to create that safe space for things that you can handle and things you can't. So women will say, yeah, tell me about the money issues or tell me about this and that. But when it comes to women, you get tight. Your booties start itching. You just can't take it. Your skin start crawling. It's like, you can't let the safe space be for one thing and not the other.
Right.
You have to be, I don't say that. If you want a safe space for your man, you have to understand that comes with the things that you want to handle and things you don't want to handle.
Yeah.
If you can't handle that, if you can handle it in its entirety, then don't ask, then don't bring that to him.
Right.
That's all I'm saying, so.
We think we're ready, but we're not ready.
You're not ready for the struggles of man. Trust me.
The struggle is real.
Temptation is so real out here. Like, it's not even funny.
So you mentioned this. Porn.
Yep.
Do you think it hinders relationships?
It does. Most definitely.
It threw us into a hypersexual society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have clients that come and they're like, they don't want their spouse watching porn?
I haven't had that verbatim. I've had it with the
like sidebar conversations,
like,
and
it was symbolic of their situation. It was very indicative when they say that their man is with them, but they look at a bunch of other women that look nothing like them. Like, what is he attracted to if he's not attracted to me? Like, I don't look anything like. Put your guns away, slow your roll. Is there other things might be going on with him? And I know 9 times out of 10 is probably porn, because what porn does is it strips away the human part of a woman and it just presents her as a body. And men have our favorites. We have a light-skinned one, a dark-skinned one, a thick one, a slim one, a tall one, a short one. And that's why we can go out in public and sexualize anybody, because we've seen all those body types in all kind of positions.
For free. Right.
Listen, it's tough. So porn definitely strips men of the ability to see women as a human being, not as a piece of meat.
Right.
And it also makes it so we can't control our urges, because
a disciplined man is a top tier man.
It's hard to find.
It's hard to find.
That's high value, not money and status.
Yes. Less, because that term has been so watered down. People tend to think that high valued is all about the finances. I always like to say high value. Yes.
Why do women hate is it because, okay, so let me say this. Whenever I would bring that up at first, I would get like weird looks. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, why do people hate that term? So, but then I learned that a lot of men that misuse their wealth, their influence, their stature, their resources, they call themselves high value. Yes. And I learned that. Is that why?
High value. Okay, so let me define my definition of high value.
Okay.
High value for me, a high value man, I want to identify, do other men look up to him? Is he a pillar in the community? Does he give back?
Okay.
Finances is really like at the bottom of the list for me. What's his character like? What kind of spirit does he have?
Right.
because if I only based it on finances, I've met plenty of men that make a lot of money with ugly souls.
Right.
Horrible individuals.
Exactly.
Horrible. So that's not a high valued man.
Right.
And those type of individuals that just made a lot of money with poor character, etc. Let me tell you,
It's tough.
the rules don't apply to them.
Right.
And they live by that. They feel like the rules don't apply.
It's a good way to put it.
Which kind of spills over into why their character is the way it is. Not all, but a lot of times, absolutely. So it's just that term has just been so like overused on social media. I want a high value man or a high value woman, but it's definitely beyond the finances for me.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's something. Especially when I bump into women who say they want the high value men, and we break them down, and they're not high value themselves. I know I just probably hit a different nerve there, but that's the thing, and I'm not shy about saying it. My platform, if you haven't noticed, I'm sure you've noticed, the audience I have at this point is about 80% women. And I'm very supportive of women. Like on my lives and conversations, when they come on, I let them talk, I let them have the floor. Because I greatly respect a woman's intellect and her mindset. But I'm also honest. Can't ask for a high value man and you're mid or you're low. Because he's not gonna, and if he does, he'll have ulterior motive for doing it.
Yes, I completely understand. It's an unrealistic expectation sometimes.
Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Not all the time. This is just to that group of people. If the shoe fits. Yeah.
Right, if the shoe fits.
So they want a specific type of man, but they don't meet the qualifications, so to speak, or they just have these unrealistic expectations of I want X, Y, and Z. And if the man were to ask her, look, I'm trying to tread very softly with that.
Let me ask you a question. Why do majority of women hate the question, what do you bring to the table? If someone asked you that, would you take that offensively, honestly?
I don't take it offensively, but I would prefer someone not to ask me.
Okay.
Because number one, if I gave you my time, you should have already saw the value in me.
Ooh, okay.
So you would not need to ask me what I bring to the table. You would already know.
Got you.
So
I love that answer. Okay.
But let me just throw this out there. This is off subject, but it kind of ties in.
Please.
When I meet a man, let's say I meet you today and you're like, let's go to dinner Friday night. It's a no for me. I coined this. I'm going to say it here. I'm going to keep saying it here. Virtual dates. Just because you like me or you see me and you think I'm pretty and you want to take me out, I don't know if you're worth my time yet. Ooh. And it should be the same way for men. So as I interview men, they were expressing how much money they spent on dates, et cetera, just to get on dates, and women couldn't even hold a conversation. So
that happens.
I push for virtual dates because a virtual date is a Zoom, a FaceTime duo. You can do it from the comfort of your home. It allows us to meet on neutral ground.
Right.
You're not spending anything, and I'm not saying keep doing the virtual date, but the initial one, it doesn't cost you anything or me anything.
Right.
I can determine if you're worth my time. Just because I'm pretty doesn't mean I'm entitled to you taking me to a $200 or $300 dinner. And just because you have the money, that doesn't mean you're entitled to my time.
Right.
So I do virtual dates, and sometimes it ends up being 2-3 hours long. Sometimes there's a second virtual date before I give that person my time. And it's just a way to determine if we want to move forward or not. So there's no need for a man. I've had multiple conversations. I've had a set amount of time to converse with him. Mm-hmm. I've had a virtual date. He has to see something in me already.
Right.
Or I probably would have never made it to the date with him for him to even ask me,
what
do I bring to the table?
I love that so much. You coined that. I'm going to give you credit whenever.
Ooh, thank you. Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad you came, Forrest, and I'm so glad we did this. Where can we find you on social media?
Find me on social media at Forrest Laurent. That's ForrestLaurent. Laurent.
Okay. And if they want any coaching services?
Just send me a message. I'm very down to earth. Just send me a message. We'll talk about it. We'll get it going.
Okay. I love it. I'm Sonia B., your host. And again, this episode was sponsored by our sister company, Intimate App. And you can find me on Instagram at Sonia_B_. Thank you.
Thank you.